This is the professor, Dr. Ron Daniels. I'm president of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century, and I'm also the convener of the National African American Reparations Commission. The U.S.-Africa Summit finally received some press coverage yesterday. 50 African heads of state were almost invisible, you know, the invisible man deal. It was a virtual whiteout of these leaders for 48 hours. I was wondering, well, when they're going to get some coverage? They all up in here. Breaking news is that Biden, however, apologized to the African leaders for the role of the U.S. in the Holocaust of enslavement, followed by a pledge of $55 billion in aid. A somewhat paltry sum, actually, compared to what China does in terms of huge investments to ensure that it has access to Africa's vast assets. Du Bois said that Africa is the richest continent on the face of the earth, and he is correct. Nonetheless, this is a decent and noble and correct gesture. However, what about reparations for the sons and daughters of Africans in America? What about African Americans? We've been appealing to you, Mr. President, for months to create the H.R. 40 Commission by executive order. It borders on disrespect not to respond or act in the affirmative in the memory of John Conyers, the late, great John Conyers, and the appeals of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who was the lead sponsor on H.R. 40. It's past time to begin the process of the repair of the injuries that we've suffered in terms of enslavement, but also the legacies inflicted by the U.S. government. It would have been awesome, Mr. President, to apologize to the African leaders and then to announce your intent to actually enact H.R. 40 to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans. That would have been a nice little package, right? That would have been great. Apologize to the African leaders, the African heads of state. That was the origin. We are the ones on this side, you know, who suffered as well in terms of the Holocaust of enslavement. That would have been a brilliant piece to both apologize to them and then say, I'm moving forward with H.R. 40. But you didn't do that, Mr. President. And so we say that actually it's past time. It's past time. We've been waiting for you to act. And it's past time to move this forward. So, Mr. President, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and call Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and inform her that on Martin Luther King Day in 2023, that would be just really, really, really appropriate. You remember the promissory note that comes back marked insufficient funds, the bounce check? Good rationale. Remember Martin Luther King talking about all of those legacies of enslavement, including the Homestead Act and the GI Bill and all of that, and saying we're on our way to DC to get our check? Martin Luther King was on point. So pick up the phone and call Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and tell her that you intend to enact H.R. 40 by executive order. May not happen by Martin Luther King, but let us know that this is in the works. So let's get going, Mr. President. It's time to take action now. We have waited far too long. We expect you to act, Mr. President, by Martin Luther King Day to have the executive order announced that we're moving forward. That would be appropriate. That would be respectful. That would show that you really, really do have our back. Thank you, Mr. President. Waiting for the call.